One of the most important things that you as an entrepreneur are going to need to do is be good at hiring people onto your team. Team members that are good, that are valuable, are going to be extremely critical to your long-term success as an entrepreneur. And the hiring process can be pretty challenging. They say, there's a saying, this is hire slow, fire fast. Neither of those sayings actually often get implemented, especially when the company is small. You don't have a long time to wait to fill some critical positions. You need to move quickly. And when you find the right candidate, you need to act. So sometimes you're hiring fairly quickly. And sometimes that can result in mistakes happening. You can also, trust me, you're going to make mistakes when you hire people. You're going to think you've got a great candidate, and they're going to turn out to not be such a great hire. That's life. And I found that no matter how much we think our interview process is solid, that at the end of the day, there's about a 50-50 chance as to whether that person is going to last long-term in the company. That's just reality for us. It could be different for you, better or worse. You won't know until you get into that process. A key thing that we implemented that I think might be helpful for you, and it obviously depends on your industry. We're in the software industry, so one of the things that we do is when people apply for different positions, we actually put them through a test, right? We'll sit down and we'll interview them and ask them about their background, ask them, about their skill set, what they want to do. But then before they leave, they actually sit down at the computer and perform a test. Now, if they've applied for a job where they're going to be doing Photoshop, for example, or Illustrator work, we say, okay, here's a Photoshop and Illustrator are installed on this machine. We want you to do X, Y, Z, and you've got 15 or 30 minutes to do it. And by doing that, we're able to tell very easily whether or not somebody actually knows how to use those products. Because people will put a lot of different things in their resume, and you're going to find that out pretty quickly. And they can even talk a good game when you ask them about their skill set. But when you actually implement tests to see where they're at right up front before you hire them, it's going to be extremely valuable. So think about doing that. In positions that we've hired where, we've got somebody who really needs to pay attention to detail, maybe somebody who is, in charge of processing orders or making sure, projects are organized and timelines are getting met, we will set up a number of tests with them in the interview process where they actually have to solve some problems, and they have to tell us how they would go about fixing a problem or doing something in an efficient manner. And we'll give them a task to do, and we'll say, use the computer, you got 10 minutes to do this task, and follow these instructions. And you'd be surprised at how many people mess up on the instructions. Now, we throw some things into the mix to try to throw them off, because we want to make sure that they're not making assumptions, because people who make assumptions in your company can really have a drag on it. We all make assumptions. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. That's a famous saying. It's totally true. You don't want people to make assumptions. You want them to always double check their work, to pay attention to the directions. And by implementing a test like that right away in the interview process, you can catch some of that stuff right up front. So those are a couple key things that I think are super critical in the interview process. So hopefully that will be of some help to you. Other things that I found useful is to not just look at a person's resume. And it's not like in our company, I don't necessarily care what degrees someone has or what certifications they have, because all that tells me is they got a rubber stamp from a university or a community college or some kind of third-party training program. They passed. And that really, to me, it shows on the one hand that they had the discipline to go through that course or through that university, and that's good. But at the end of the day, the skills that you have and the knowledge that you have are completely useless, and they won't do any company any good if they're not used or deployed. So don't just look at someone's credentials, because the credentials could be basically useless if the applicant that you're interviewing is not going to use those on the job, or they got a degree in computer science but they haven't been developing software for the past 10 years. It's kind of useless if they went and got a degree for computer science, right? So don't always limit somebody to or don't always take them, I guess, just as a de facto hire, just because of the credentials or the background. One of the things I always ask people are questions that give me insight as to how they think. And I ask them questions like, what do you do, on the side? What are your hobbies? And what's your 5-year plan? What do you want to do? Because I found that the people that I generally don't want to bring on the team are the people that really have no clue what they want to be doing 3 years or 5 years down the road. And I think a lot of people are afraid to say, like, hey, 3 years from now, I don't want to be working here. If you hire me here, I'll be here for 3 years and I'll take another job. I actually want them to tell me that, because everybody has goals that they want to aspire to in their career, in life. And if someone is open and honest with you right up front, I take that, as a huge sign that these people are honest and I want them on the team. For as long as I can have them. I know they're not going to be here forever. But, that's one of the things that I think is super critical. Look at their passions, look at how they think, look at, obviously a lot of the mannerisms and stuff like that. I mean, people make so many mistakes when they're interviewing. I've interviewed hundreds of applicants over the past couple of years, and I now know, looking back at the times that I applied for jobs, like why I always got the jobs that I applied for. Because so many applicants that come through the door do not have the confidence in an interview process. They might be extremely qualified, but they come across as being, having low self-esteem, low confidence, that they can't look you in the eye when they're talking. And to me, that it also, I see that as being a little shady. Like, I don't know if they're just lacking confidence or are they trying to hide something. So pay attention to those basic things. And if you use some of those principles, some of the things I just mentioned, I think you will be off to a good start. But again, when you hire somebody, even if you think you've got an awesome hire, I think, at least for us, it's about a 50-50 shot as to whether you got the right person. But it's certainly a lot better than having a 10% or 20% chance. So you'll have to figure out what works for you along the way.